The first thing we're gonna do is look at the tires. The tires are probably the most common problem you're gonna have with your bike. And by just using a pick and your eyes, you can probably fix like 90% of the problems with your bike. It's really easy. So what I like to do, and with all tires, you're gonna use the valve as a point of reference. Always use the valve as a point of reference. Then, what I like to do is, I carefully look at the tread, looking at the tread, and if I find a little piece of glass or wire stuck in the tire, I use this pick, and I carefully dig it out. All the tires have a puncture belt, so it takes a while for the glass to get inside. So what we're gonna do is get that glass out before it has a chance to cause a puncture. So carefully going through the tire, searching, 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 searching. We see a piece of glass, pop it out, and then that'll stop any kind of future punctures. Now that we've checked for any kind of debris in the tire, we've looked for cracks or any problems, we know the tire's okay. Next, we're gonna wanna check the pressure out. Now, if you've noticed your tire is losing pressure quickly, especially with a gravel bike or a road bike where you're using a tubeless system, you wanna check a few things. First, you wanna make sure you have sealant, nice wet sealant in there. If you haven't put sealant in the last 3 or 4 months, there's a good chance it's just dried up. One way you can kind of check, doesn't always work, but it can work, is just open the valve up a little bit, give it a touch. If you see a little bit of white liquid come out or whatever color sealant you use come out, you know you're still good. But if you don't, there's a good chance it's dry. Another thing that could be causing your air to leak out quickly is that the valve core has become loose. No big deal. You can just use a valve core tool, stick it on there and give it a quick tighten up. Okay, so you're sure your sealant is fresh, your valve core is tight, okay? So from time to time, you're gonna need to go ahead and true your wheel. It's a really common repair that I end up doing pretty much every day at my shop. So home mechanics rejoice. We have a very nice, light, sturdy wheel truing stand for you. Now wheels can get out of true for a bunch of reasons. Number one, well, you hit something hard, you crash, you hit a rock, or the spoke tension becomes a little bit uneven, maybe to a poor build quality. So this is something you're gonna be doing again and again and again. So what we've got here is a new truing stand with a lot of compatibility and a lot of options. So first of all, compatibility, let's talk about it. The axle compatibility. This is compatible with anything from a 100 to a 160 width. It is compatible with QR or the different through axle sizes. So got you there. Also, it is compatible with up to 29-inch MTB wheels. So again, that takes care of mostly everything you'll need. Next, we've got this little indicator here. We can swing it down low and you can use it as a standard wheel truing stand. If you see your wheel is out of true, it's rubbing either this side or there's a big gap going this way. A little bit closer. Okay. We got a little rub here, so I need to pull the wheel this way. I'll just grab my spoke key or spoke wrench. Add a little bit of tension to the spoke. Okay, good. And this is really cool. You can bring it up, adjust it a little bit, and you can also use it as a rotor truing stand. So since everybody is using disc brakes these days, that is really handy. So years ago, a lot of years ago in the 90s when I first was working on bikes, usually the sprockets or cassettes were 7-speed, 8-speed, and once you adjusted the bike's rear derailleur, you could kind of leave it for a year. But things have changed a lot. The new 11-speed, especially 12 speeds, the tolerances are getting very tight. Everything has to be perfectly aligned. Back in the old days, I would never think that a derailleur hanger alignment tool would be something a home mechanic should use. But these days I've changed my mind. Having a perfectly straight derailleur hanger is absolutely essential with these new 12-speed group sets. Luckily, it's not too hard to do. And if you screw up, you can always just buy a new derailleur hanger. So what you're gonna wanna do, first, I like to shift the derailleur over just a little bit out of the smallest sprocket to get the chain out of the way. Next, pulling up on the rear derailleur, you're gonna release it from the derailleur hanger. Sometimes you can have a little bit of trouble here with the wires, but usually not a big deal. Next, put my tool away. You're going to carefully, and I do mean carefully, screw into the hanger. You might want to apply a little grease here if you're having some trouble or if it's dry. Make sure it's nice and square. it should go in pretty easily. If it's not, then just take your time. All right, and once it starts to grab, screw it in and get it nice and tight. Next, you're gonna want to look at the distance between your gauge and the rim, and it should be close to the same all the way around. For example, if the gauge is further out over here, well, we need to slightly bend the hanger in this way. If the gauge is further out over here, we need to bend this way. But you want to be gentle. The hangers are usually made out of fairly soft aluminum, and this is a lot of leverage. So you're just going to give it a very soft touch and then check. Soft touch, check. And then once you're happy and it's the same distance all the way around the wheel, you can remove your derailleur hanger alignment tool. Next, you're gonna reinstall your rear derailleur. Now be careful, you have it in the right position. It's a little different for each rear derailleur company. Again, I'm pushing up to make sure it stays in the right position. There we go. Now tighten it up. And then go ahead and check your shifting and it should be a lot better. After doing this adjustment, you may notice that your rear derailleur's adjustment is a little bit off and you have to re-index it, but it shouldn't be much of a problem. All right, we've taken a good look at your bikes. We've looked at your tires, they're beautiful. We've adjusted your hanger so your shifting is gonna be good. Your bike is ready. You are ready. Get out there, start riding your bike. So now that you've ridden your bike and it was awesome, you had a great time, please like, subscribe, and if you have any questions, just leave them down below.